market today. Hello and welcome to Overdrive. I'm Soini Dutt. Now, whether you're a city dweller, a corner carver or a thrill seeker, we've got it all covered for you with a very interesting comparison between the Bajaj Pulsar NS400z, which is the new motorcycle in this segment, against the KTM 390 Duke, the Triumph Speed 400 and also the Bajaj Dominar 400.
Just recently, we brought you a face-off between the Aprilia RS457, the Kawasaki Ninja 500 and the Yamaha YZF-R3. And we are really stoked with all the love and feedback that has come our way.
But this time around, we are throwing away all those pairings for something a bit more naked. If you fancy yourself an idea of a 400cc single, then chances are that you will be handing all your hard-earned money to Bajaj. Not one, not two, but potentially 4 ways. Introducing the contenders, the Bajaj Pulsar NS400z, the biggest Pulsar to date, sharing its heart with the sturdy Dominar, which you can also find lounging about in the same Bajaj showroom. Alternatively, you might head over to the more upmarket showrooms where Triumph and KTMs reside, with the Speed 400 and the 390 Duke luring you from their respective stands. To remind you, both these have Made in India stamps courtesy of Bajaj. So which one will it be? Let's find out. The latest from Bajaj stable, the NS400z might be new but carries a familiar aura of its predecessors. And while I like the evolutionary styling, some were expecting something more revolutionary. For those with a taste for neo-retro charm and a splash of pizzazz, the Triumph Speed 400 stands ready to dazzle. It's already a common sight on our streets, yet continues to turn heads with its superior material quality and exquisite fit and finish, attributes that speak volumes of its premium lineage. The Pulsar can't quite match up to that because you see, even if they're built in the same factories, the Pulsar is still built to a cost. Surprisingly, the Triumph actually manages to feel more posh than even the more expensive KTM 390 Duke. The Duke, ever evolving, now sports a sharper design, textured panels and color accent seats that add a dash of flair. The motorcycle that our friend Vikram loaned to us for this story looks a bit different than the stock bike because he thinks that the stock LED DRLs look a bit much. And honestly, that's the only polarizing bit on the otherwise sharp KTM. As for the bulbous Dominar, well, it offers a semblance of that big bike feel for those inclined towards a more substantial presence. And it was for those very reasons that our friend Neil bought the bike that you see here. In fact, each of these machines speaks its own ergonomic dialect, and they are as varied as you might expect. For reference, I'm 5'8". Now, the other reasons for Neil to buy the Dominar were its tourer ergonomics, with forward set foot pegs and a lazy rake angle, almost making it a power cruiser in this lineup. The Dominar's slightly higher seating adds to the feeling of the bulk, which might not suit everyone, particularly for shorter or less experienced riders. The Triumph offers a lower seat height in comparison, but also a nicely sculpted tank and easy foot pegs make it accessible for riders of all sizes, short as well as tall riders. Its low yet wide handlebars ensure a comfortable upright riding posture, effectively masking its 176 kilo weight. The Pulsar seat stands tall at 807mm, potentially requiring some riders to tiptoe. While it may feel top-heavy at first, the rear set yet relaxed foot peg position and familiar NS200 seats offer comfort, especially on longer rides as well. Its sharper 25.2-degree rake angle adds a hint of sportiness compared to the NS200. The Duke has the sportiest posture, with high and rear set foot pegs and a forward-leaning stance, perfect for aggressive riding. Its narrow handlebars and slim tank enhance control while sport riding, but may be taxing during extended riding sessions. It's also the only bike here with adjustable seat height. The Triumph Speed 400 opts for simplicity, Its instrumentation might look basic, but it's a nod to its modern retro ethos. Easy to read and straightforward, ensuring the focus remains on the ride.
Now the NS400z keeps things fairly simple on that account. You have a new instrumentation cluster, reverse LCD. It comes with Bluetooth connectivity, allowing you to check your telephone messages, your calls and your music controls as well. And there's turn-by-turn navigation in there too. Fairly simple but well executed.
Somewhat matching the RTR in tech, but also with its own flair, the Duke 2 features a colorful TFT screen but opts for simpler, user-friendly graphics. The interface is intuitive, appealing particularly to tech-savvy riders. While all the displays that you see here provide clear readability at day and night, the tech-forward approach of the Duke with a bi-directional quick shifter will likely resonate well with the tech-oriented Gen Z crowd.
Well, we've just about scratched the surface of this comparison test. We'll be back shortly to tell you more about the performance as well as the verdict. Welcome back, you're watching Overdrive. We're in the midst of a highly sought after 400cc comparison test, and it's time now to find out which Bajaj motorcycle suits your riding preferences as well.
The true test of these motorcycles is not just on the racetrack, it's more importantly on the road where their mechanical hearts sing their distinct tunes. Like for example, on the NS400z, it inherits the 373cc KTM derived engine from the Dominar. It is tuned for a zestier ride though. Like for example, the rear sprocket is a 46 teeth on this one compared to the 45 on the Dominar, because this one needs that snappier, quicker acceleration.
Then there are the sophisticated electronics, including ride-by-wire and 4 riding modes: road, rain, sport and a unique off-road mode. Cycling through these modes is a bit unintuitive as it needs you to close the throttle even to access the modes menu. But these modes will adjust the throttle maps, torque output and the ABS settings. The rain mode dials back torque by about 30%. Road mode mellows the torque curve, while sport mode gives you the full power and torque. Most impressively, each mode delivers 85% of their assigned torque from as low as 3500 RPM, making it excellent in urban tractability and versatility.
Speed 400 is on par with the Pulsar when it comes to power and even weight. However, when it comes to outright acceleration or even that mid-range punch, the speed is way better. It completely outruns the Pulsar. In fact, where the Pulsar needs to rev beyond 6000 RPM to make rapid progress, the speed delivers a really strong punch from as low as 4000 RPM, making it a lot more tractable in the city and even on the highway. Even on the racetrack, it will not completely feel out of place because the engine and the chassis will really deliver quite well. What will rob the fun, however, is the relaxed positioning of the foot pegs and the ergonomics, and they're going to scrape often. So you will not really be chasing lap times with this, but you'll still be able to have a decent amount of fun.
Cue the KTM 390 Duke. Now this motorcycle has a more relaxed engine map in street mode, and that makes it a lot more tractable for the city. You don't always have to be on the boil like before. So it's a bit of a white-collar bloke, this one. But then again, switch to track mode and that's where the hooligan comes out.
The new engine is up on capacity, power and torque and delivers exceptional punch, and the electronics ensure that they extract every bit of that performance from the new configuration. It's significantly quicker to 100 km an hour than the Triumph and does feel a whole lot quicker from the saddle, though the throttle can feel choppy when pushed hard out of corners.
It's the soulful experience of the KTM Duke and the Pulsar that really sets your pulse racing. It's not just about performance, it's a soul-stirring experience, something that will attract both the road goers as well as the track junkies. So if I was spending my money, it's these two motorcycles that would have it in a heartbeat.
The Brit is just as refined as it sounds, matching your expectations of what a Triumph should feel like despite a single-cylinder setup.
The old KTM 390 Duke engine was known to be full of vibrations, and that character sort of echoes even today with the Dominar and even the new Pulsar NS400. Now it's got the rubber-lined foot pegs like the Dominar, but it's also got a new hydro-formed handlebar, which aims to reduce those vibrations to an extent, which yes, works. But interestingly, when you're decelerating between that 4000 to 2000 drop, there are quite a bit of vibrations that creep into the handlebar, into the foot pegs, around the chassis, etc. And that can become a bit annoying.
In comparison, the new LC4C engine in the 2024 Duke is definitely a smoother operator.
Now, despite its heavily refined engine, the KTM sees a dip in fuel efficiency figures, managing just little over 30 kilometers to the litre down the highway. So a bit of a trade-off for spirited performance.
Conversely, the Triumph demonstrates its efficiency prowess. It leverages its robust mid-range to deliver strong performance without guzzling much fuel, showcasing the balance between power and economy that Triumph riders have come to appreciate across the range. The Pulsar NS400 isn't too bad either and manages a slightly better economy than its heftier sibling, the Dominar.
Though non-adjustable, the 43mm forks on the Pulsar and that monoshock, it's all set up quite nicely out of the box. It gives you a nice, supple ride quality. It may not have the same kind of finesse while tackling potholes that comes with the KTM or maybe even the Triumph. But if you're upgrading from a smaller Pulsar, there is a noticeably more premium ride quality compared to those.
Now, the Speed 400 also employs a non-adjustable suspension unit up front, but then again, it is tuned a lot softer than something like the NS400. Riding on slightly rougher terrain is a lot more manageable on this one, and yes, your pillion and your luggage will be a lot more easily managed on this one. But then again, it's not as flexible as something like the KTM.
For enthusiasts seeking top-tier suspension, the KTM 390 Duke stands out with its fully adjustable WP suspension setup. With 150mm of travel both front and rear, the Duke offers the most sophisticated and customizable ride of this bunch. The Pulsar NS400z, which despite its marginally slimmer rear tyre, a 140 instead of the standard 150 in this range, doesn't hesitate to flaunt its KTM heritage when thrown into corners. Do remember, however, that the front tyre is a bias ply and it has a few problems. Dubbed the sharpest Pulsar, or shall we dare say the nimblest Bajaj currently on sale, it feels significantly lighter than its sibling, the Dominar 400. Weighing about 18 kilos less on paper, it feels even lighter when in action.
The sharper rake angle compared to the NS200 also gives it a shorter wheelbase by 20mm, and that makes it more agile around tight switchbacks. And then you have the added confidence of that sticky rubber and, of course, traction control, which still remains on the wish list for the Dominar.
The Speed 400 also puts on a commendable show in terms of handling. Now, its wide handlebar gives it superior leverage, and although its suspension setup is on the softer side, it maintains its composure really well through the fast corners.
Meanwhile, the KTM 390 Duke continues to set benchmarks with its chassis enhancements. Its prowess is undeniable on the track and through the twisty sections as well, where it can execute cleaner and faster lines than all of its competitors.
Now, the NS400Z doesn't fail to impress in terms of safety equipment as well, because you do get traction control, you do get 4 different ABS modes, and all for an affordable price. But with that, this motorcycle is positioned ahead of the Triumph Speed 400 in terms of safety capabilities.
Although the KTM 390 Duke has similar safety features, they're executed with greater sophistication, enhancing the rider's sense of security. The Pulsar NS400 stands out for its exceptional value, a trait synonymous with this lineage. Bajaj has harnessed its mastery in frugal engineering and platform sharing to offer a well-rounded motorcycle at a price that is going to be hard to beat, potentially impacting the Dominar sales as well. Choosing the Speed 400 involves a premium of about 50,000 rupees over the Pulsar, paying more for the brand's prestige with similar power but less equipment compared to its domestic counterparts. The KTM 390 Dukes comes at a whopping 1.3 lakh rupee premium, which gets you significantly more power and performance, superior ride and handling, and more features of course, matching the Pulsar's value quotient in relative terms.
The Pulsar NS400z is poised to be a disruptor in this space, and it could very well become a nightmare for its competitors from TVS, Hero, and even the Japanese manufacturers. I mean, for 20% more price than an NS200, you're getting 60% more performance and power. That's a phenomenal, that's a ridiculously good deal. If I was a 20-something, I would be jumping with excitement at the moment. On the other end of things, the Triumph and the KTM, they continue to attract audience that want better brand value, better brand prestige. And out of the two, the 390 Duke would be my pick as that go-to all-rounder in the naked street space. So the way I look at it, no matter which one of these you buy, Bajaj is going to laugh their way to the bank. Bajaj has simply left no space for its competitors to thrive. This is what dominance in the 400cc space looks like.
Well, it's time to head into our final break here on the show, but coming up on the other side, we'll tell you all about the new Ather Rizta. Welcome back, you're watching Overdrive. Ather recently launched the brand's very first family scooter called the Rizta. It now comes with plenty of seating space, under-seat storage space as well, and 2 different battery options. Chris will tell you more about this scooter.
Now think electric scooters out here in India and factor in a manufacturer like Ather Energy. Up until today, you only had the 450 scooter to contend with because ever since the company started off in 2018, well, yes, you only had one scooter, which was the 450. Until today, it remains a very performance-centric machine. Well, that was until today because we are out here with the new Ather Rizta. This is the Z-spec variant. It isn't the top-end variant with the 3.7 kilowatt battery. So let's figure out what this scooter brings to the table. Now in terms of design, this might not be as visually striking as the 450, but then again, I'm not too sure if it was actually meant to be because, well, the 450, it looks slender, athletic build, and you know that it means business by the sharp styling cues. Well, this one, it's meant to be a lot more laid back, and it really tells from the boxy, curvaceous design. The levels of fit and finish are good and the paint quality is very fitting too. Now, if there's one outstanding or unique bit about the scooter, it would have to be the broad and accommodating seat. Measuring at 900 mm in length, Ather claimed this seat to be the largest seat for any scooter currently out there. And that includes the petrol-powered ones as well. But better still is the 34 liters of room you have under the seat because you see, you can actually fit in a full face helmet in there. And there's a small compartment to keep stuff like your wallet or washcloth separated from the rest of the items you have in there. Now, even in terms of features, well, the Rizta packs quite a decent amount of kit because you get stuff like the magic twist throttle from the Ather Apex, which is the latest 450 model, which works as a kind of different braking system if you don't really want to employ the levers. Then you have stuff like coasting regen, auto hill hold, skid control, which is traction control in Ather speak, and of course you do have ride modes as well. Just 2 of them, not like the 4 on the 450. You have Zip and Eco. The screen is quite vibrant, and although it's not a touch TFT screen like the one on the 450, this is a fairly decent screen. It comes with Ather Stack, so it has all the connectivity options as well. But then again, it isn't a touch screen and you will have to really use that joystick. That's the only way you can toggle through your commands and functions on this one. So you have the same battery options that are carried over from the Ather 450X. So you have the base Rizta S with the 2.9 kilowatt battery and some connected features missing. Then you have the Rizta Z, which is the version that we have out here today, with the same battery and more connected features, and both these variants come with a standard 350 watt charger that can charge the scooter from 0 to 80% in little under 6 hours. Finally, you have the Rizta Z with a 3.7 kilowatt battery, faster 700 watt charger, and all the features thrown in. Now, range is set to be around 123 kilometers with the 2.9 kilowatt battery pack in there, and claimed 160 kilometers with the bigger 3.7 kilowatt unit. Short time we had with the scooter out around the Nandi Hills area in Bengaluru, the scooter felt an absolute delight to ride in zip mode. It feels quick enough to carry out and overtake even uphill at around 40 kmph, and it doesn't feel like it's really running out of breath, which is awesome. It doesn't give you the thrill of excitement that something like a warp ride mode would provide, but it still feels reasonably quick by EV standards. The regenerative braking provided by the Magic Throttle is also a lot more gradual on this one in comparison to something like the Ather 450 Apex. In Eco mode, well, this is not the best mode if you really fancy even a fraction of excitement. It's alright when you're content with going with the flow of traffic and you're not really interested in getting ahead of anybody or out on the road in a hurry. The front end of the scooter feels light and easy to turn in at all speeds, but it didn't have that dynamic, flickable character of the 450X.
It weighs up nicely though, and the seating posture you'll assume on the scooter is perfect for those daily commutes. The suspension, well, it did feel a bit too stiff for my liking, especially at the rear, and the front end felt a bit jittery at higher speed. We didn't really come across any tricky terrain to feel the skid control or traction control unit really kick in. So now to sum this one up, is this scooter, is the Rizta actually a lot better, or does it offer more than just performance and decent build and reliability? Well, of course it does, because according to me, there's a lot of thoughtful processes that have been implemented, not only in terms of features, but in terms of design as well with this particular scooter. And that, at the end of the day, is something that you spend your hard-earned money on, you get a product of good value, and that's a great thing in the end. Now, 1,25,000 rupees, all that the scooter offers, I think that's great value for money. And yes, looking forward to riding it for a longer duration to get a feel of what it's like out on the road for a longer time.
Well, we've run out of time on this week's episode of Overdrive, but remember, you can stay in touch with the team through our various social media platforms. You can write to us on YouTube and Instagram as well. We'll see you next week. Until then, drive and ride safe.